Good morning, YouTube family. I hope you're all going amazing. Today is engine swap day in the Falcon, so let me show you what we've got going on. So if you guys aren't familiar with this build, this is basically going to be a BA Falcon drift car build for $5,000 or less, roughly, thereabouts. Looking like we're going to be pretty on track budget-wise. We've already done a whole bunch of this stuff to this car, including brakes, steering, suspension, front wheels and tyres. Well, actually, all the wheels and tyres. We've done a transmission service. We've done a diff upgrade. We've done some wiring and stuff in it. Jason is sitting... Hello, Jason.
Hello.
Doing the first important thing that you need to do for an engine swap, and that's change the steering wheel. So, yeah, we're going to be pulling this Noki motor out today because of this. And we're going to be putting in a trusty green top Barra. We did do a video on this thing of just doing a few service items and maintenance items to this engine. So we've done rear main seal, front crank seal. We've done some Welsh plugs. We've done a water pump. We've done a thermostat. We've done an idler pulley. We've done a crank angle sensor. Stripped everything off it that we don't need. So that's all good and that's all getting ready to go. Only other things that we've added to it since you've seen it last is we've put an aircon delete bracket on it, which is that's a territory part. And we've also put an adapter in for an oil pressure gauge. So that's the sender for the gauge that's sitting up on the dash. We're also going to take this Ryco ST filter off and just put a cheap one on for now. Just a cheap Cooper filter. And we'll get some cheap oil as well. So first start, we'll just have a cheap filter and oil in this thing and we'll run it for a bit and then we'll put the good filter back on. So that's about it. So first, smoky. Emphysema. Let's get this thing on the hoist, start draining fluids out of it. We're going to start by pulling intake off. We'll pull the thermo fans out and drain fluids out of it and just go through and start disconnecting stuff. So I've got the oil draining and look, she is a bit metallic-y, to be expected. So while we've got this thing up, we're just going to smash as much as we can. Jason's pulling the front under tray off at the moment so we can get to the bottom of the radiator to drain the oil. This thing does have some leaks. Anyway, we just pretend we didn't see any of that. We'll pull this cover off here and undo the torque converter bolts. We'll pull the starter motor out. Those wires just hanging there are for the oil pressure sender for the gauge. If you've ever done a starter motor on a Barra, you'll know that the top bolt is really fun to get to. So we'll do that and just keep going, undo everything that we can while we're under here. We've already dropped some stuff off from up the top. So like radiator fans out, air boxes out, intakes all off. So that's all that. So yeah, we'll just keep going. All right, we're getting through it. I think we're pretty much done from under here. We've got all of the converter bolts undone. All of the bell housing bolts are undone, top and bottom, with the exception of one bolt either side. The top two on this side were hard to get to, but nothing a bunch of long extensions couldn't sort out. All the wiring's undone. I've transferred over the alternator and alternator bracket to the new motor, and I've just got the belt sitting on there, which has to go around the power steering pump up here. Got the oil filter swapped over as well. Got the bonnet off, which is sitting over there. So we're getting through it. We'll drop it down now, finish unhooking a few things and keep going. Sweet as, I think we're there. Got all the bell housing bolts out. Got a jack supporting the bell housing. Engine mounts are undone. So we're ready to start pulling and test the tensile strength of everything we have forgotten to undo. We are just about out, but we forgot to undo fuel lines. So, Jason's underneath the car at the moment, just doing that.
We should buy a hoist.
We should buy a hoist. It's on the to-do list. But yeah, just about there. Hole, and we're out. Excellent. Engine is out. We've dumped it straight into the trailer. So all we've got to do now is basically get all the inlet manifold stuff and wiring harness off this, slap it onto the green top. While the engine is out, we are going to just sort of delete some of these aircon lines and stuff, as we're not going to need any of that. Have a little bit of a clean up, start putting it back together. Green top is pretty much ready to go. Got it together as much as we can. Got the inlet manifold on, all of the wiring's connected, engine covers on, everything sort of together as well as it can be for now. Belt driver's on with the exception of power steering pump. Got the engine bay just tied it up a little bit, removed some stuff that we didn't need. The oil catch can that we got off eBay fits in the factory bracket that was there for the aircon, so that's good. So we're just going to run one fitting on it for now. So all we need to do now is everything. There is a green top Barra sitting in Jason's BA, which is a bit exciting. Nothing's connected, it's literally just sitting in there on the studs, and we've gotten the engine mount nuts started. But we're going to lift the car up, do everything from underneath first, and then go from there. Righto, we're going to have a quick lunch break, but we've basically knocked this thing out the park. Everything under here is all back together. Bell housing bolts, converter bolts, starter motors in, alternators wired, sort of everything's together. The only thing that's left under here is exhaust, which we have something for that, which I'll show you a bit later. Under trays on. So yeah, we'll have a quick break, drop it down, and do everything from up top, which should be pretty quick. Rightio, guys and girls, we are pretty much there. Everything is sort of connected, plumbed in. Jason's just putting the intake on now and finalising that. We've even wired up the gauges. All that's left before we can start this thing is do the exhaust. So we've got a set of extractors, second-hand extractors that we've painted up that they are going to go on. And as far as the rest of the exhaust goes, my original plan was to make something, but then this catback came up on eBay for cheap. I think this was like 350 bucks. So we ended up just grabbing this as well. It's got a hot dog center and a muffler rear, 2.5-inch mandrel bent. So we're going to basically mount that up. I'm going to cut this flange off and extend that to meet up to the back of the extractors. So up to that flange, which will be deleting the cat. So we'll get the extractors bolted on, and then we'll get the stock cat back removed, get that mounted on, and start making up a section, and then we can finally start this thing. So old exhaust is off, the new cat back is on. So we've got a hot dog center, cobwebs, goes over the cradle into the rear muffler. So I've cut the flange off the front here. So all I need to do now is make up a section that goes from there to there, onto the back of the extractors, and then we're done. Rightio, so our exhaust is all done. So the catback was ready on, as you saw before. Then we've just made a bit more of a section from here. This is where we joined on. So I've just got a 45, bit of straight, another 45, exhaust hanger picking up the factory location. And then it goes onto the flange on the back of the extractors. So exhaust finished. What do you think, Jason?
How good?
How good. All right, drop it down, and I think it's time to start this thing. All right, we are going for start number one. We did just finish tidying up a few things up here. We also put a little bit of an intake in it. We just put a K&N panel air filter in the airbox and done a little bit of a intake pipe that goes down the side of the airbox down to behind the front bar. You can sort of see it in there. So, yeah, I guess this is it. How you feeling?
Nervous.
Yes. Now you know how I felt. All right, let's do it.
Nothing.
What? Try again?
Nothing.
Nothing. We'll be right back. So fast forward a few hours. For some reason, we're not getting crank trigger to the starter motor. So we've got constant power there, but when we go the key to start, we've got nothing at the starter motor. We've backtracked all of the wiring. We cannot see anything that we have done different or wrong. So rather than fix the problem properly, we've just put a start button in on the side of the column here now. And that's what we're going to use to start the car. So now we can go for first start. We have cranked it, we know it cranks, but now we're going to go for an actual start. Oh, how good. Beautiful. It's running real good. So I guess we're just going to let this thing run for a bit now, get up to temp, bleed up the coolant. Once she runs for a bit, we'll lift it up. We'll do oil and filter on it again, put that good filter on it, and put some good oil in it. And then test drive. You're driving it, Jason.
I know.
How good. We have a running, driving Falcon, people. Going to take this thing for a bit of a road test, head back to the house. I've still got a bit of time today to try and get one more job knocked out. Right, yeah, we're back from our test drive and everything seems to be going as good as it can. Jason's happy. Look how happy he is. He's just trying to fix that door handle because it's decided it doesn't want to open from the inside anymore. But we've still got a little bit of time today, so we're going to try and knock something out. Looks like he's fixed it. We're going to try and knock out something else today, and that is we're going to try and fit a hydraulic handbrake. So we're going to cheat in this. This is the old lever that was in the Calais. So we're just going to use this for now. And what we're going to try and do is actually T-piece into the factory rear hardline that goes to the rear brakes. So we've got a fitting here, we've got the lever itself, and I've got some hardline up there. I don't know where we're going to mount it, how we're going to mount it, what bracket we're going to make, whatever, we'll figure it out. And we've also just picked up a set of 15-inch alloys that he's going to drift on the back of this thing as well. So we just got to see if they fit. But anyway, we're just going to get into it. I'll let you know how we go. Bit of success. We've also tried these wheels and they fit on the back, which is awesome. We've got the hydraulic handbrake mounted. So that's how it all turned out. We recycled the bracket that was originally in the Calais, screwed it through to the transmission tunnel with 3 bolts. So now when you're sitting in it, this is how it is. When you grab it, clears everything, clears your leg if we're clutching, the pretend clutch that we have. So now all we need to do is run a line or make a hard line from this fitting down through the floor under the car. Okie dokie, some time has passed and we've got the hydro handbrake working, and I didn't film it because I got really frustrated with it. What we ended up doing is T-piecing into the factory rear hardline, which looks like this. So that's that. When you pull the hydro, it worked, so it was fine, but you put your foot on the brake and it was back feeding pressure into the hydro reservoir and just making a mess. It was overflowing and stuff like that. Obviously, there must be one-way valving or something in the ABS or something, so pulling the hydro was fine, but not the other way around. So to overcome that, I've put a one-way valve in the hardline, which is not meant for brake fluid. And how I did it is also not pretty, but it works, and it's also temporary until we can just get some more parts to do it properly. So that's that. Yeah, there's one more thing we're going to do to this car, and we weren't going to do it because the thing that we're going to do got lost in transport, and it's just rocked up this morning. It is currently July the 5th at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're supposed to be leaving at lunchtime today to head to Melbourne, which is 4.5 hours away, to do Vicdrift's full track session tomorrow at Calder Park. So definitely up against it. Jason's in there just tidying some stuff up, and we're going to fit an AGI roll cage's half cage to this thing. This is just a basic cookie cutter roll cage. So we're going to throw that in, and then once that's in, I'm going to make up side door intrusion bars if we have time, the same as what I did on the Calais. So not going to film too much of getting this thing in there. I've done a comprehensive video on how to fit a cage to my Calais. This is pretty much similar. So we're just going to get stuck. 25 minutes in, got as much of the interior pulled apart that needs to be. Cage is sort of basically mocked up where it sort of needs to be. So that's good. And I've whipped up some brackets from chromoly for the side intrusion bars to weld onto the main hoop. So that's that. And I've mocked up some side intrusion bars to go down to the floor, sort of similar to what I did in the Calais. I actually whipped them up the other day in preparation for this cage. So we're just going to keep smashing into it, try and get this thing done. Rightio, we're getting after it. Jason's almost finished getting all the holes drilled and the bolts started in that side. Still got to do this side. And I've mocked up and got this intrusion bar in on this side. The bolts are loosely fitted into the floor, and I've got it welded on to the center hoop. So once Jason drills those holes on that side, we'll swap and he'll drill and get the bolt started this side, and I'll do the bar on the driver's side. Let's get it done. 11:11, 2 hours and 1 minute, and it's all finished. Jason's just chucking some clips in the front bar because it was coming off. But half cage is in. It's all looking good. Everything's all bolted in, mounted, got all the plates underneath the floors and wheel arches and everything. So that's all looking awesome. It's turned out really, really good. Got the Intrusion bar brackets welded onto the center hoop of the cage. And they go down the side of the seat. Also bolt down through the floor with plates underneath. Chrome moly to match the same as what the cage has got. So yeah, really, really happy with that. All we've got to do now is just put the wheels in it, load it onto the car trailer. My car is already on the trailer. And then we're going to hit the road. And to answer the pressing question of what did it cost? So I've got the sheet here of everything we've spent on this thing. So buying the car with the motor, we called it $500. Just because there are cars out there for that cost, or if you've already got the car, you wouldn't even include that cost, but we have, so that's that. So $500 for the car and engine. The roll cage was $1,200. The diff was also $1,200. Catback exhaust, $350. All of the suspension parts we put into it, so all of the suspension bushes, the sway bar, and there were a few modifications which didn't cost anything, but all the suspension parts was $800. Everything we got from the wreckers, I probably didn't need to include this, but I did, because it is stuff that we paid for. But that was the second-hand extractors, the left-hand front door, the window regulator for the right-hand front door, and all of the window switches. That was $320. Miscellaneous things like the fire extinguisher, steering wheel, K&N air filter, the disc rotors we got for the back brakes off eBay, filters, oils, fluids, the front tires. All of that came to $1,260, and there was a bunch of freebies as well. So the front wheels I had, which I gave to Jason, the bosket he had, the gauges he had, and the power steering cooler I had. So there was a few bits and pieces which I didn't include in the cost. There are things that we could have saved money on, like we did the belt, the hoses, we did a water pump thermostat, all of that stuff, some gaskets and seals. You probably don't need to do those things, but we played the while we're in their card and did them, and we've included that in the cost. So long story short, everything comes to $5,630. So our goal was to do this thing for $5,000. Has gone over that by just over 10%, but you could have saved money by not doing the things we've done or not buying the stuff from the wreckers of what we did. If you don't include them, then we're under $5,000. But it is a car that is going to be set up for Jason to have a lot of fun with. It's safe. All the brakes been like refreshed, suspension stuff's been done, the cage is in it. So we're going to call this stage 1 of this build, and I think we've done a pretty good effort of getting as much done as what we have for the cost. So please guys, if you want to see more content like this, please remember to like and subscribe. We really need to hit the road and head to Melbourne for tomorrow morning, and you will see that video pretty soon because I'm about to start filming it right about now. So thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you at the next one. Be safe, be good.